have an exclamation mark
Here
in
we
my.
are. Good afternoon again, Realty Pros. We are excited as always. I'm always overjoyed when it comes to the opportunity to be with our Porterhouse Realty Pros. You guys are the best on the planet. And thank you, Anita, for that very warm welcome. Today, we're going to be continuing in the conversation that Anita already began last week. Thank you guys for your warm welcomes and your wishes while Mr. Porter and I were away last week on a conference, but we are back. We are fired up and we are ready to finish this year strong. So today we are talking about finishing strong. We're talking about staying focused and remembering your why. Somebody type in the chat, remember your why. So, finishing strong, staying focused, and remembering your why. That is absolutely the topic for our Realty Talks today. So, as we are in a new season, we're in fall. I'm so excited. I love the transition from summer to fall. It's actually my favorite season, fall followed by spring. I want to make sure that as the seasons change, we know that our purpose doesn't. So in real estate, each one of us has a why, right? The market may shift, the interest rates might rise, but your why and the reason that you started this journey in the first place, it remains the same. So when I'm talking about remaining focused, your why is what should keep you anchored no matter what season you are in. So I want to encourage all of us to stand strong in these changing seasons and capitalize on all of the opportunities that are going to be afforded to us. I had a conversation with the seller that we've been working with for quite a number of months, helping them to get ready to put their property on the market. And the seller, she comes back to me and she says, "Oh, well, Mrs. Porter, I think we might have to wait until the spring because now we've reached the fall market and it's no longer summer." And I said, just on the opposite, it's quite the contrary, Mrs. Whatever her name was there. And I said, there are absolutely buyers in every market. And I want to encourage you guys to know that whether it's the fall season or the winter season, there are buyers who are serious in every single market. So you now have a new addition to your listing presentation. And I was inspired to add that for all of us just as a result of my conversation with her, because I want you guys to have a detail piece where you can go and show them the percentages of properties that sell in the fall as well as the winter months. So you would think that it would be about 80% in the spring, but it's not. Each quarter has between 20 and 28% of the total sales for the year. So your fall and your winter markets comprise a very big portion of the business that is done throughout the year. And that is so essential for us to know because there is a temptation for many people to start to idle or kind of just make their way through the fall and the winter season on autopilot. But I want you to know that this is your season. Buyers who are looking to purchase and sellers who are looking to sell in the fall and the winter markets, they're very serious. They're very aggressive, and some of them are going to be some of your best clients. So let's make sure that we stay strong in these changing seasons. Okay. So when you do have those down times in your business, it's the perfect opportunity for you to learn. Because as a realty pro, we should constantly be endeavoring to perfect our craft. Everything that you do in real estate, your mastery is what's going to separate you, right? All of us have the same opportunities. We have the same information afforded to us. We have the same brokerment library. We have YouTube University. We have PG-CAR. We have NAR. We have G-CAR. We have so many different resources available for our learning. We have Bright. We have, our Porterhouse training, and the list goes on and on. But what are we doing and challenging ourselves to improve to ensure that we're constantly growing in our real estate business? Constantly growing in our knowledge of what it is that we do in the industry, right? And hats off to you guys because the fact that you chose to carve out some time to be on Porterhouse Realty Talks, it says that you take your real estate education seriously. It says that you take your business and your ability to be able to serve your clients with excellence seriously, right? So that is very important that even when you have those moments that may be slower than you want them to, maximize those opportunities and say, okay, how can I grow during this time? While I have a few moments before my client's ready for this property to become active, how can I perfect that process so that when I get in there, I can master it and multiply that opportunity? All right. So use it as a time to refine your learnings, refine your systems, and strengthen those relationships with people that are clients and who have provided you with even referrals. All right. So look at it as an opportunity for preparation. One of the things that I will say is we talked about this before, champions are built in the off seasons. So you might say, okay, well, you guys are working with a whole lot of clients, but maybe I have a couple that I'm waiting on. They're kind of, on pause right now. So I don't have anybody. I want you to know that champions are built in the off season. It's what you're doing when you're not in front of your client that's going to help you to perfect and master what it is that you'll be able to do sweatlessly when that opportunity comes available. All right. So, with that, I want us to focus on finishing strong. The way you finish the year sets the tone for your next year. And this is just, it's amazing to me how quickly this year has gone by because we are in October the 30th. A couple days are going to go past us like minutes, and we're going to be in November. We are officially entering into the holiday season. And I don't know about you guys, but actually my favorite season starts in September because Mr. Porter and I, we have birthdays and anniversaries and all kinds of celebrations. So it goes throughout the year, but I want you guys to take a page from that playbook and capitalize on all of the energy, the excitement, all of the people who are going to come out, all of the people who want to fellowship and go to various events. Capitalize on that as an opportunity to have some of those courageous conversations, some of those conversations with people about their investment, goals, their real estate portfolio, them purchasing, them selling. Capitalize on those opportunities to put yourselves in front of the person that might very well be your next deal. So we know that if you want to succeed as a real estate professional, the key thing is that you're going to prospect for business every single day. So you can't be a secret agent doing that, right? Be intentional. Everywhere that you go, have a conversation with somebody. One of the things that Mr. Porter and I do, because we just love people, we're people. My husband, if you guys know, he is a comedian, and no, he doesn't get paid for stand-up comedy, but maybe he could, right? But he is intentional about everywhere that we go. He tries to find a way to make somebody laugh, right? My approach is different. I'll have a conversation, I'll make a connection, I might give a compliment or something like that, but he finds a way to make people laugh. So whatever your personality is, use that to engage people, to build relationships, to nurture those relationships, right? And then from that approach, you can go deeper because people are going to work with those people that they know, like, and trust. And it really helps to break the ice very easy when you start with something warm, something friendly, something funny, a compliment, or something that's going to kind of break down those walls that people would often have when they say, oh, are you coming to sell me something? No, I came giving first. I came giving a kind word. I came giving a smile or giving a compliment. So let that be your departure, if you will. Let that be what propels you into a conversation over this holiday season, okay? So with that being said, what you do today moves you closer to your next closing. What you do today moves you closer to your next closing. All right. There are some income generating activities that I want to make sure that we have in mind. And the most important of all of those is going to be prospecting for business, which is simply having conversations with people everywhere you go. So whether those conversations are intentionally over the phone, whether they're online, on social media, in the grocery store, in the Starbucks, at a gas station, at a hair salon, or wherever you are, you should be intentional about looking for your next deal, looking to build that next relationship, right? I love one of our recent realty talks that Darlene talked about a person that she established a relationship with. And though that person hasn't finished their deal yet, she's gotten 4 transactions that has come out of it. 4 transactions have come out of her relationship with one person. But that is so good because one of the primary things that she highlighted was nurturing that relationship. Meaning it's not oh, I meet you once, and if you're ready, then we move forward in our relationship. If not, then I won't call you again, right? But rather being intentional to nurture it, reaching out. How are you? What are you working on? What are your goals? How much closer to moving forward are you? How can I help you? These are the resources that I have. This is what we have going on. This would be a benefit to you. Look what I found. This is something that would help you in this particular area, right? And you find out those things that are going to be a benefit to people by listening to them. Have a conversation, find out what's important to them, and then add value to them. And when you add value, people will remember you when it's time for them to sell. All right. So then the question you want to ask yourself is, who can I serve or follow up with today? Somebody type in the chat today. Who can I serve or follow up with today? Because I guarantee there are very many people with whom we've had conversations in the past, and some of those people have not yet converted to clients or closings. But when you are intentional to reach out to those people, to foster that relationship and to keep those relationships thriving, you are able to make sure that when that person is ready to purchase or sell or even to refer, they think about you. All right. So then also another thing for us to consider as we continue to progress in this season is, what habits am I reinforcing right now? Because it's the consistency that we develop in our habits, not just the talent, because you can have talent, you can have knowledge, but it's the consistency over time that yields results. Somebody type in the comments, consistency over time, right? So what habits can you reinforce that'll benefit you in your real estate business for not only this season, but the seasons to come? Some examples of those actions that you can do, or some habits that you can reinforce. It could be going through your listing presentation, going through your buyer presentation, making sure that you're abreast of all of your documents, because your contracts are the lifeblood of your business. That's how you get paid on both the buyer side as well as the listing side. So how can you benefit yourself in this time that you have? What habits are you reinforcing? So be intentional, because it's the mastery that's going to separate you from the competition, right? So that's very important to make sure that we're keeping top of mind, because every small, consistent action counts. Monument, or momentum, I should say. Monuments are built on small stones or even big stones. It's not built as one piece. They're the things that you do consistently that add up. But also momentum is built by motion. You continue in that forward motion consistently over time, and that's where that momentum comes from. That's the energy. That's what's infectious, and that's what people are going to see when they're looking for somebody to work with, somebody to list with them, right? Now, keeping forward, keep your eyes on your why. As we continue to press forward in our goals to close out this year strong and start the next year even stronger, we do this not haphazardly, and we do it not just for the sake of convenience, but we do it because we are always focused on our why. Why am I in real estate? Why does it matter to me? Why now? Right? Your why is what's going to give you the endurance when motivation fades. When circumstances start to come up that you did not anticipate, or things that maybe, want to grab your attention, your why is what's going to keep you grounded. It's what's going to keep you focused. So that's something that we focus on the beginning of every year when we do our business planning, and when we also do our new agent training boot camp. But I encourage you to write down your why if you don't have it written, and post it where you can see it. Post it on your mirror, or on your desk at home, or on your dashboard. Be intentional to post that why. I'll give an example of this. This goes very many years ago, before real estate. I remember back in college days, for me, I had a picture on my desk. So the way that our dorm was situated was such that our bed was in one place, and right beyond our bed was our desk with our cabinet. And on my cabinet, I had a picture of my younger siblings. So whenever I did not feel like getting up to go do something, whenever I did not feel like getting up and making it to that 8 o'clock class, whenever I did not feel like everything that was required. I was a chemistry major in college and it was very rigorous. Whenever I didn't feel like doing something, I looked at that picture and that was my why. And I always said, I'm doing it for them, right? So whatever your reason for doing something is, it may be for your grandchildren, your children, your financial future, your legacy, yourself, your retirement, your investment properties, your goals. There are many things that are greater than us and greater than the transaction. And the purpose is to allow your why that's behind what you're doing in the first place to motivate you. So keep a picture of that, right? You can keep it in your mind's eye, but it should always be somewhere that you can look and see it too. It may be a picture of your children. It may be a picture of whatever that is for you. But allow that to constantly be an image that you look at on a daily basis to keep you focused. All right. That'll help to remind you of what's at stake, whether it's your financial freedom, your retirement, your future, your family, your college fund, whatever that is. All right. So then practical daily focus steps. One of the things that I'll say is for my day, I'm very intentional with my morning. So I carve out time, and there's specific action items that I have to do every single morning before I will answer any call, before I will answer any email, before I will look at anything online. There's some specific things that I have to do to make sure that I'm prepared and grounded, right? Along with that should be envisioning your goals for the day, knowing exactly what it is that you need to accomplish in order to get you closer to the goal that you set for the month, right? Constantly working on yourself. You guys know that we are firm believers. We're three-part being: spirit, soul, and body. So you should be working on yourself spiritually, mentally, and then physically before you start giving out everything that you have everywhere else throughout that day, right? So the first part, and it's best when you do it when everybody else is asleep and you have that time to yourself to make sure that you are starting your day strong. You're envisioning your why. You're focusing on what your goals are, and you're intentional to have practical steps for things that you need to complete for that day, right? Start early. Win the morning, or win your day by winning your morning, right? And then as it pertains to your work time, when that begins at 9 a.m. for you or whatever time you begin, I recommend that time, but set your non-negotiable goals, right? Those non-negotiables should be your calls, your follow-ups, the appointments that you have to make, right? And be intentional that all of your non-negotiables, you finish them in the morning. And everything else that's flexible, you finish those things later. But the non-negotiables, that client that needs to hear back from you, that negotiation that needs to take place, right? Protect those things. Because if you do not, then everything else in life is going to come and, you're going to look back like, what did I accomplish? So let's be intentional. Engage your day with intention. Every conversation is an opportunity, right? So I'm very intentional about feeding your mind, listening to something that grows your mindset. You guys are on Realty Talks. This is very intentional. When we do our mastermind trainings in the evening, that is very intentional. Whatever your purpose is or your focus for that season, you should be constantly doing something that's grooming and pruning and growing that particular area, because as we know, the word tells us that your gifts make room for you. And you have the ability to strengthen yourself so that you get to do those things even better to a masterful level. And when you do, because you've taken that time, when you were by yourself or in a classroom setting or whatever the arena is that you learn in, you've taken the time to work on those things will set you apart as greatness. All right. And plan your next day ahead of time. So before you go to bed, you should already know what your morning is going to look like. You should already know what you need to do for the next day for your clients. You should have all of those things, have a framework before you even get up. So when you get up for that very next day, you're focused and you're goal oriented, right? We know that we start with writing out our goals at the beginning of every year. 93% of people do not have written goals. No, 97% of people do not have written goals. right? So when you start out with your goals, then you know and you're focused. You looked at your why, now you're looking at your goals, and then you're setting yourself the night before to know exactly what it is that you need to do the next day. This is how you get yourself from the point where you're just a player to you're just a champion, if you will. So learn that, or learn that you can absolutely not only lean on the resources that you have by yourself, but you have resources around you in Porterhouse. At Porterhouse, we work as a team, which is very different than other brokerages. At Porterhouse, you can call myself, you can call Mr. Porter, you can call Anita, you can call Darlene, you can call any of us in order to get your questions answered. So lean on your team and resources. You are not in this by yourself. You don't have to do it alone. And let me tell you, if you have something that needs attention, I will say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So you pick up that phone and you call. But I want to encourage you to do your part, right? So your part is finding out what those resources are and remaining in the posture that you're in today, where you're making yourself available to get the information that's necessary. All right. With that being said, you don't need perfect conditions to finish strong. Just a just a powerful decision, I would say, to stay focused, to stay consistent, and then to stay connected. All right. So I want to challenge us. I have a few small steps that I want to challenge us to do so that we are all on a path to close this year very strong. So your power hour every morning. I don't know, some of us get up and we pray and we, listen and read the word or whatever that looks like for you. After you have done that, there should be time set aside where you are intentional to reach out to your past clients, your sphere, follow up with those leads. That should be the first part of your workday, right? That's your non-negotiable. That's what you're going to do with no distractions. So during that time, whatever emails come through, whatever calls come through during that hour, you don't touch any of those things unless it's an emergency and the house is burning down or something like that. But most of the time, they can wait. It's not something that's going to crumble if it's not addressed within the next hour. But these are the consistent steps that when you take these actions every day, they will breed champions. Calling those past clients, reaching out to your sphere, following up with those former leads, follow up with those people who reached out to you in January, but they haven't yet closed. Follow up with that person that you met in the store who sent you their contact information, and you guys exchanged information, but you have not spoken with them since. Follow up with those people. Follow up with the person that you may have met in the Panera Bread. Reach out to those people and call them, because you'd be surprised at the number of people that will actually move forward and do real estate transactions, and they would have worked with you had you reached out to them. One of the biggest mistakes that we make in real estate is waiting for the other person to call us back, waiting for them to inform us that they're ready to begin the process, right? But rather us following up with them consistently. That is what's going to get us that conversion. We've talked about this before and it bears repeating. This is something I want to make sure that we all have mapped out in our minds. Conversion generally happens on that 8th to 12th follow-up. Conversion generally happens during the 8th to 12th follow-up. Okay? So I want to make sure that our minds are conditioned for consistency. Because when we reach out to a person, if they don't respond and we send them an email and they don't say, hey, I'm ready to go see the property right now, it's very easy for us to become complacent and put their information to the side and say, oh, well, they weren't a serious person. But that's really not the way that things go. We have people in categories. So we have people in categories. They may be category A, B, and C. A is ready right now, and I need to give them my undivided attention. B will be ready within the next couple months, and C is a little bit longer term. Nevertheless, all of those people require a certain level of nurturing. So A, you might talk to every week. B, you might talk to every couple weeks. But C, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to those people consistently, at least on a monthly basis, so that when they are ready, your name is still top of mind. Okay. So that's something that's essential for us to do as our power hour. And that's the way that we start our business. And that too is where you're going to get referrals from, because those relationships that you build, those relationships that you nurture, those conversations that you have, and the people that you don't forget about, they will remember that. They're going to remember when they got a call from Darlene when they didn't expect to hear from Darlene. They're going to remember when they get invited to the Home Buyers Expo by Talita when they thought that she may have even forgotten about it. They're going to remember when Anita followed up with them, although they may not have done what they said that they were going to do. She was consistent and kept her commitment. People will remember that when it's time for them to purchase. Okay. So send out personal text messages, check on people, right? If there are people that are, very big on social media, maybe not on text message, send them a DM. But either way, you want to be intentional and you want to be purposeful. Okay. Purpose builds momentum early and keeps the pipeline full. Be intentional with doing that. All right. Plan, we already said, plan tomorrow, the night before. Simply taking 10 minutes to write down the list of your top 3 priorities that need to be completed for the next day. You might put them in the notes on your phone. You might put them on, if you have a journal or whatever, your iPad, whatever it is that you do. However, you need to record that. Just make sure that you write that down the day before so that you know exactly what you need to accomplish when you wake up in that morning. All right. And then I want for us to be intentional about our ongoing real estate education and accountability partners. This is something that's so powerful when you have the accountability partner aspect. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. You're intentional. You're invested in your grooming and your growth process. That's why you're on real estate, or on Realty Talks, I should say. So couple that with an accountability partner. You can have an accountability group, but the point of that is you want to make sure that whatever your goals are, whatever your commitments are, you have made that commitment to somebody other than yourself so that that person helps you to remain accountable. Because when it comes to our own personal goals or our own personal habits or whatever, it's very easy for us to become lax when we're the only ones that we're accountable to. But when we know that we've declared those goals to somebody else and we've humbled ourselves to say, hey, will you be my accountability partner? I'm willing to receive that push from you when you say, hey, did you do that? You said that you were going to call 10 people today. Did you reach out to them? Right? You committed to doing an open house this week. How's the planning for that coming along? That really helps each and every last Realty Pro. So let's be intentional with that. If you have or if you don't have an accountability partner, you can let me know. You can drop it in the chat. If you want, you can do an accountability group, an accountability partner. But the bottom line is that somebody other than you needs to know what your goals are so that they can help to keep you accountable to your success. Okay. So with that being said, we have very many resources available to us in Porterhouse. And I want to make sure that you guys take full advantage of those resources that are available. If you need anything, you can call Mr. Porter, you can call myself, but let's be focused in this season. You know that our goal or our slogan and theme for the year is moving forward, moving higher, together, serving others. And that is consistent in every season. And our goal is to build even more momentum. All right. So when you see changes happening, stay focused. When you're in a space where you say, I didn't expect this, or whatever the case is, remain focused. Because no matter what the weather, if you remain focused, you will absolutely complete and attain your goals. So it's with that I turn it back over to Anita. If you guys have any questions, any comments, any key takeaways, that was in my impartation for today. Mr. Porter, I see that you've unmuted yourself, sir. Did you have something to add there?
I just loved everything that you just said. I just wanted to say that, the just to be practical, the practicality of everything that you said is important. And it's good to hear, but it's more important to do. You know, one of the things that I'm, really key on is that I think about a few things every single day that I want to make sure that I do. And it kind of goes in line with what you said. But one of the things that I want to make sure that I do in the morning is I want to think about what can I do to please God. That's one thing. That's one goal I have every single day. What can I do? One thing I can do today to please God. The second one is how or who can I help today? How can I help or who can I help today? And it's just one thing that you can do or one person that you really thinking about that you want to help today. Another thing is I want to think about what's one thing I can learn or one thing that I can teach somebody in this world today. So one new thing just to keep your mind sharp, one new thing that you can learn or one thing that you can impart to somebody today to help them in this world that you've learned. And so all of those things in thinking about them is some things that we do that's intentional like that. And there's other things that are habitual. And the one I love the most is that I get to call down my contact list somebody every day. So I generally have about 4 or 5 people, and I just go in alphabetical order for the most part. And then sometimes I run into names of people I don't even know who they are. So I'll call them and say, "Hey, listen, I have your name in my contact list." I said, "This is Shay Porter." I said, "Whose number is this?" You know, and they'd be like, "Porter, it's me." Blah blah blah, and I'll go into a conversation. Oh wow, yeah, well, I'm still doing real estate, and I'll get into that conversation with them. But in those conversations, of course, I'm checking on people, but it's very authentic. And in checking with people, I'm also going to make sure that continuously remind people that I'm helping people in real estate. I want to help you. If you purchased your own home? If you have a home, have you thought about doing any investment properties or anything like that? What's your real estate portfolio look like? Have you done your estate planning? I mean, I'm going to talk to them about something regarding real estate, and then I'm going to say, hey, uh, as you move around, if you hear from anybody that needs real estate, please tell them to call me first. And that's my plug. And it's a shameless plug. And it's something that I do so naturally. I don't even sometimes realize that I'm doing it, but it's important to make sure that you have some things that you do that are intentional, and then some things that you have developed a habit for every single day. Because if you're not doing something in your business every single day, your business is not going to do anything for you. So that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to add that little bit of a contribution, and we can turn it back over to Miss Anita.
Thank you both, Mr. and Mrs. Porter. We appreciate so much. So I thought as Mrs. Porter was finishing up, um, I think this kind of check-in maybe, or is it a check-in? I think this is something that we could benefit from, like on a quarterly basis, because I think that oftentimes we're moving, life is moving, and there's so many things that can come in and distract us from what our goal is, because unlike other jobs that people, the like 9 to 5 jobs people go to, they know that they're going to go to that 9 to 5 job every day. They know, exactly what's going to happen, because, at 9 o'clock, I, get my coffee. At 10 o'clock, I have to call these accounts. At, 11 o'clock, I have a meeting. At 12 o'clock is lunch. I mean, and that is their day every single day. They know that what their day is, and being in real estate, it takes a different type of discipline. And so sometimes we can find ourselves getting off track. So I guess what I want to say, because I wrote down the the morning power hour, and kind of putting into practice, making part of our routine, our reach out to our spirit, to our, past clients, to people that we've met. And in that moment, they sound as if though, they were really interested in real estate. And because I did not follow up with them consistently that 8 to 12 times, they may have gone on to someone else, or they may have, I had someone who just at one of my open houses, they said, I don't know what to do, right? And so it may be a matter of I don't know what to do, so I'm doing nothing, and that's someone that you can absolutely assist. And so I wrote that down. I also wrote down plan, we're going to know the day before what it is our goals are for the next day. And then the accountability partner / group, right? And so I think in order for us to stay on track, this type of a training is beneficial at minimum twice a year, and maybe even quarterly, just to make sure that people are, because we can be easily distracted, that we stay focused. So I appreciate so much this kind of refocusing. That's what I want to say, this refocusing. So I appreciate that so much. I wanted to give opportunity for anyone else who is on the line, if they have something that they want to share, a takeaway that they received from today's training. Please, by all means, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Aurelia.
Yes,
Can
Aurelia.
you all hear me? I'm sorry, hold on. I'm in a place that you might hear some background noise, but I appreciate everything that has been saying, and I sort of agree with what you're saying as well, Anita, as far as this is needed kind of as a reminder. But it was one of the things that Mrs. Porter mentioned about the amount of times that you have to kind of repeatedly kind of capture people's attention, especially if they're in your pipeline. And I thought it was important to note to myself, because I did put a note that we have to remember that this is one of the largest purchase that a person will make, or even decisions that they have to make when purchasing properties or even selling properties. And so the time, the preparation, and the planning is very important. And that may be because a lot of times, like you say, in other businesses, you're like, I have to actually reach out to these people 8 to 12 times. But it sort of makes sense because of the type of purchase and what they're really getting, the investment and time that it takes to even purchase, that type of thing in their life. So that's what I wanted to say about what I got from it as well. And my understanding, because I had to write that down, to say, okay, now I can understand why it would take that amount of times to actually reach out and continuously, repetitively reach out to our.
Thank you, Aurelia. And even to that, I was thinking that, because again, just to go back to the person who said, I don't know what to do, so you're kind of, is with Aurelia saying, this is a huge step, whether you're selling your property and or buying a property. It involves a lot of money, and people need to be educated, so that they can feel comfortable to move forward. So that may take you, reaching out. That may 8 to 12 times. It may take you having 3 or 4 conversations with them, so that they can feel comfortable with what the process is, what what the expectations are for them, and how they'll be able to move forward and how you'll be able to assist them. So thank you so much. Is there anyone else who has anything that they want to share with us? Okay. All righty then. Well, we're going to go ahead and we will end today's Realty Talk. We appreciate everyone being with us. We want